YouTube, we got another great video here on the Pawn Man channel. We're doing some grave robbing, or so it may seem. I have a really controversial piece of militario we're going to discuss that relates to current events, and then later, we're talking about one of the craziest financial crimes of the 21st century. So stick around. If you like this channel, be sure to follow it. It's another great video here on Pawn Man. Go ahead and have a...
Well, it's in there. You can just take it out.
Ooh, a little bit left over for my lunch.
Oh, no.
Oh, 125 bucks.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay. Anything else or just that?
Well, you can give me more money.
How about 126 because I like you?
Okay,
Look at that. You
yes.
twisted me for another buck. Now, it's a bummer. I just want to say really fast. There was somebody who was going to be coming in here who had a huge collection of Asian silver, and it's all been graded. And the price that I threw out, they said, okay. They called from another store. They were referenced at another store that only buys for the straight metal price. I was a little bit above. God, if that deal came in here, it would have been a $5,000 to $10,000 profit. It hasn't come in. I don't... Either it's not coming in, somebody's pulling my leg, or they went to the wrong store and somebody else got to eat my lunch. But speaking of eating, I make about $100 on what I just did here. Now, we've talked about this before. Dental gold, I don't know the purity for sure. I would think it's probably 14 or 16 karat. This molar inside is taking up a lot of weight. So I would think I'll make, probably about $100 on this deal. But I'm gonna smash this up in a little bit for a tech talk and we'll find out. Let's go down the parking lot. Just a few light taps ought to do. So I pancaked it down. I got most of the bone out. And dropping on the scale. 3.2. So melting at 168, I offered 125. For smelting fees, I'll make about 40 bucks on this. Not bad. Just remember, if your grandparents die, you find gold teeth, don't throw them away. Somehow, I don't think we've ever talked about this, even though it is a staple of what I do. This is what is known as silver shot. What is silver shot? What are its uses? How do we get it? Let's talk about it. Silver shot is made from sterling silver, or generally it's 92.5% pure. It is used in jewelry manufacturing, in industrial applications, and silver casting. The term shot is used to describe form, or in this case, the form the silver is shaped, these small, irregular little beads. This stuff does have a pretty long history. It dates all the way back to the 12th century. And the name sterling comes from steorling, which means high quality coin. And in the 12th century in the United Kingdom, 925 sterling became the standard metal with copper. So 92.5, that's where we got that standard. Why, when we make silver jewelry or for silver for industrial purposes, why do we want to add copper? Why do we want to diminish the purity? Because copper as an alloy adds strength and allows us, if it has an industrial purpose, it's not going to break as easily. That's why, you know, with this gold tooth here, that's why you'll never see a 24 karat pure gold tooth. Gold is too soft. It doesn't work for chewing. So to produce this, it's generally made from recycled silver ore. The impurities are removed, and then silver is heated to 1,763 degrees. This is where it becomes a liquid, and then it is poured into either water or, like I said, oil. And this causes it to rapidly cool, and this is how you get these tiny beads. They also use silver shot in creating sterling silverware, decorative items, bullion bars. If you want to invest in precious metals, again, I'm not giving investing advice. I don't have a license to do that. I'm just speaking out loud. This is a way to hold silver. It's 92.5% pure, and if you know the right person, you might be able to get this for straight melt, and you can't get bullion for straight melt unless you go to my whatnot auctions. So this is another way for you to hold precious metal. I personally don't recommend doing that. This is taxable, at least according to Minnesota law. Non-taxable is only 99.5% pure, so this doesn't fit the bill. Sterling silver also is used in conductivity. Pure silver is not conductive, but when you add the element of copper, it does become conductive. So to conclude, if you want to buy this stuff, go to a jeweler's. Most jewelers will have this for repair purposes. If they have too much, they might cut you a good rate. Just make sure you know that you're not buying pure silver, you're buying 92.5%. Personally, I do not recommend buying these for holding precious metal, but you know, a deal's a deal. If you can get this stuff for $3 under spot and you get a bag of it, you can flip it, you can hedge the market with it. Mainly though, this is an industrial item. This is not really something like precious metal. Like, this isn't like bullion precious metal. There is a difference here, but that's what these are for.
He's a creepy old man in a windowless van who wants to babysit the con artist can.
America's favorite pedophile is back. Well, there he is. How you doing?
Hey,
How are you?
good.
Good. All right, let me go out to, let's go check out the van and see what kind of treasures await.
What the fuck is this? This is like from a fucking crime scene.
What treasures?
You needed a haircut, dude.
I need a haircut?
Yeah. You look good. You look good.
I didn't just say in the hair, man. Is that a blood? That literally looks like a blood stain. No. This is not evidence of a crime. Okay. Well, luckily, this is actually themed for the holiday. I can stick this in my window.
Open that up. I don't know what they.
What the fuck is this? It's.
What is it?
Road flares. Actually, I could use these. I want road flares.
What else is in there, dude?
Well, we have a cookie jar.
Who makes it? Who's making that?
Nobody important. All right. I got road flares, a couple of creepy dolls, some copper. I'll give you $10.
Oh, come on, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, $10 is where I'm at.
Okay.
Okay. Well, sorry I couldn't make a deal, but it's always a treat to see you.
Yeah, do a little bit better than 10.
Yeah, Ted. I'll make it 11. $11. Well, sorry I couldn't make a deal.
Would you give me 20?
No. Oh, this is a handout service. This is $11 more than I should give you.
Thanks for looking.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm gonna get the door for you. Yeah, fuck him. Huh. Also, last time he was here, the fucker had $500 in his wallet. He's not broke. He's got to be more careful to keep up the act. It's like some junk silver, maybe.
Yes.
Okay.
And then I didn't bring them. I didn't know if you could take the silver certificate dollars.
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
I'll remember that.
They're generally not expensive, but I do buy them. Okay, so some of these are 40%, some of these are 90. This doesn't take me too long to go through.
Okay.
$375.
Okay.
Do you need cash? There's a 34D here. That's a key date. There's an 85P. It's not a key date, and a 21. This 34D is worth about 60, 70 bucks. Yeah, overall, I did pretty good on this deal. I'll probably make about $100 on that deal. 25%, not bad.
Here was where my mindset was. I know right after the war, a lot of soldiers brought relics home, but I wasn't sure if this was authentic or not, and I was also thinking maybe this could have been, like a religious symbol, because it can also be a religious symbol.
So the religious symbol, the swastika, faces a different direction. So this is definitely Third Reich oriented, I would guess. Tell you what, I got a few contacts. This might be done after the fact. I don't know. What'd you pay, like $2?
It was like $3, yeah.
Man, good. I'm surprised they would put this in the Goodwill. Okay, so I know one way that you could tell is the glass making technique, if this was how they made glasses back then, but I don't know enough about glass pieces to tell you.
I'm in sort of the same boat. I have no knowledge about this whatsoever.
So, I mean, whatever it was hand painted on. And it wasn't just some boob that painted it. It looks like it was actually professionally done, if I had to guess.
And I'm definitely not in a position where I want to use this in my house, so...
Right. Well, something tells me you're not the type to use it.
Oh, God, no. I figured I'd bring it to you because I don't have many people in my life where I can, talk to somebody where they can appreciate the history.
Yeah, this isn't the kind of thing you're like, hey, look what I bought at the Goodwill.
Yeah, so...
By the way, I've been doing some reading lately. This guy, very smart. One way or another, I don't know enough to tell you, because it looks like it's handmade. The paint looks old enough, but I couldn't tell you if this is a proper glass-making technique or what. It's curious you found it at the Goodwill. Curious, both for good and bad reasons.
Yeah, nothing Goodwill.
I just can't believe the Goodwill put this out, because they usually stop this kind of stuff from getting out there. Like if you donated clan robes, I don't think you'd find those in used clothes.
Yeah. Oh, it was a ghost costume.
Well, I will let you know. Do you bring me anything else or just this?
Really just that.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. I'll let you know. All right, well, I got an update. That guy just left. That item was not authentic. The glass making process looked a little modern. That style looked a little 1960s. It looked like it was professionally made, not just some crazy guy I'm gonna paint some swastikas on this butter holder. See, Kyle. That's a great thing to keep in mind, you guys. I'm not doing a lot with military right now. The market's in the toilet. I've made mistakes. I'm not an expert. That's why I consult experts. That said, look at the material. Look at the style. Is it a style that was 1940s, or is it a style that's 1960s made to look like 1940s, or it's got a motif from the 40s, but it's a later era? Always keep that in mind. Is the style consistent with the era? All right, I think I can hear you now. Can you say that again?
Yes, it's Dave Roberts from from Priority Gold and Silver. I had spoken to you back in January, Evan. I call you once. As I was saying, I only call you if I have something at a real deep discount, something that would obviously warrant your attention. And having said that, sir, I came across a tremendously undervalued opportunity in the form of the American Silver Eagle. On Friday, I got into 2024 San Francisco Mint. These are NGC certified, Evan. Evan, I trust you're familiar with NGC, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Each and every one that came in on Friday was hand-signed by a woman named Anna Cabral.
Mm-hmm.
Evan, does that name ring a bell to you, Anna Cabral?
Why didn't she enlighten me?
Okay. She is the 42nd Treasurer of the United States. She's still in action, and she started under the Bush administration. If you Google her name, Evan, you will see in black and white, and I've been doing this 30 years, here her signed pieces on top of the numismatic increase go up an extra 8-10% a year like clockwork. They're getting astronomical prices. We're doing it for $550. I had...
You want $550?
Is English a second language?
You want $550 for a Proof 70 sign from the treasurer? Are you out of your mind? Okay, I got some news for you, pal. There we go. $550? That's $100 tops dollar coin, you guys. Oh, I thought so. Okay, I could tell right away when that guy called me. He said, "Evan, how you doing? This is so-and-so with so-and-so gold and silver." I'm thinking, I know all the gold dealers. That's not a name I know. We talk, so this is part of what they do. They say they already talked to you. That guy's never talked to me. They just make you think that they have talked to you already, and you might think, oh, maybe we did have a conversation. So you guys watch out for that. That is a guy running a scam. He's probably sitting in a cubicle getting some kind of a commission. $500 on a $100 coin is like highway robbery. So watch out for that. Nobody should ever be calling you, soliciting you, pretending they know you. Always a scam. Use common sense. Do your research. The guy, also, if you ask for a price and they don't give it to you, it's a scam. What happens when we call it back?
Thank you for calling the pre-IPO connection.
Yep, pre-IPO, another red flag. Pre-IPO, meaning, you know what an IPO is? Well, guess what? You can get it ahead of time before everyone else. We're gonna have this great opportunity for you. It's a fucking scam. It's a meant to be folded into the dust, gone as soon as some law enforcement picks up on it. It's a fucking scam. So please, you guys, please watch out for that. Okay, good learning experience. All right, guys, well, for this episode, I love true crime. It seems to be one of the most interesting things that I encounter in this industry, and this is one of the most interesting true crime stories I have ever come across. If you're interested in alternative currencies such as Bitcoin, you're going to want to listen up, and if you don't know some of these laws, you're definitely going to want to listen up because somebody here paid quite a penalty for what they did. Let's talk about the Norfed Dollar. Before talking about the Norfed Dollar, we first need to talk about the Norfed Dollar's creator, Bernard von Nothaus, which actually sounds like a scam name, like Anna Delvey. Bernard was born in 1944, and he was born into a family that was very libertarian. They respected the ideals of independence, of freedom of virtue, freedom of act and what you do. Very free-thinking family. The family also strongly believed in minimal government intervention. These virtues were deeply rooted in his upbringing and would ultimately cause calamity later in his life when he would simply decide to steamroll ahead without thinking twice. In the 1970s, Bernard was part of the counterculture movement. He questioned traditional societal structures and he questioned government authority. He was against the man. Yeah, he was a hippie. Probably did a lot of drugs too. I don't know that part. I wasn't able to find anything out. But from everything I'm reading, the guy sounds like he was doing a lot of acid. He lived in Hawaii for several years. He owned his own gold shop and goldsmithing business for a while. He tried to make his own jewelry, and none of it really worked out for him. He was also very interested in the Austrian school of thought regarding economics, involving government intervention, involving radical economic plans. The 70s were a time of things could pivot one way or another. We're on the cusp of maybe something great if only we do away with the old and we rein in the new. Bernard thought the US Federal Reserve System was a joke. He thought that it was ridiculous that we were off the gold standard, that our paper money was backed by the power of our nukes and really nothing else. He wanted a concrete form of economic currency that was truly backed by something tangible, not just a promise to pay. As you also might imagine, he was no fan of the IRS. And they would eventually become not fans of him either. Neither with the Secret Service, as we'll get to. So fast forward, Bernard bounces around doing all kinds of different things. His philosophy is deepening, getting more complex, and getting more militant. And finally, in the late 1990s, he decides he wants to do something about it. He creates Norfed, or the Norfed movement, and this is an acronym, and it stands for the National Organization for the Repeal of the Federal Reserve Act and the Internal Revenue Code. This isn't just an organization, this isn't just a bunch of angry people that don't like that they're taxed, that don't like the representation without taxation, that don't like the fact that we're off the gold standard. They want to do something about it. They wanted to challenge the US money system as a whole. They wanted to give people an alternative currency, something that was actually backed, something that was truly worth a damn. He just wanted something better than the dollar. Before his infamy with this case that we're going to talk about, he created something called the Hawaiian Liberty Dollar, and it was a barter item meant only for Hawaii. So he kind of got his feet wet with one idea, and then he took it on to a much more grandiose scheme. So he created the Norfed Dollar. The true name, the Norfed Dollar, is what it's called now amongst collectors. The Liberty Dollar was what he called it. Now, this dollar is backed by precious metal, mostly because it's made from precious metal, and what wasn't, the currency notes that he produced, and I've never seen one, were backed by precious metal versus, as we know, we're not on the gold standard anymore. A paper's backed by nothing, but we're the US government. It's worth something. He called this sound money, real money, because it was made from precious metal. He then called what we all use, regular money, inflationary policies instigated by the Federal Reserve. He's basically calling the Federal Reserve corrupt, and he's basically saying that if you subscribe to using Federal Reserve currency, you're basically falling for their scam. Now, he didn't want to create the only Federal Reserve currency that was backed by something. He just wanted to propose an alternative and hope that this movement would run away from him and challenge the Federal Reserve to the point where we went back on the gold standard, or we did something so that our money was backed. He figures if enough people are using this, it'll deflate the US dollar. This whole house of cards that is the US dollar, this invisible promise to pay this back by nothing, it'll all come collapsing down, and I will have introduced the first real dollar that's backed by something again, and we can get back on a gold standard, or give Americans, and ultimately the world, an alternative to have currency and money that's truly backed by something. He was basically trying to start a movement with this one little thing. Libertarians jump right on this. It does get kind of popular. He gets some news and some press written about him, and there's some people that really, really like this idea. They decide to start subscribing to this. On top of that, in the areas that are using his currencies, there's a barter system that's being created, and these businesses, these trades that are taking this are basically creating an alternative economy outside of the US dollar. Now, the first problem is he is using the words, "In God we trust," and liberty. He's got the image of Lady Liberty. He is taking the design of US coins and currency, and he's putting it on his alternative currency. And in most cases, he's putting a face value on it too. Now, where this gets messy, one, you can't do this. Surely you have enough common sense to see why you can't do this too. You are copying designs from the United States Treasury and the United States Mint. You're putting a face value on it, and you're putting it out and releasing it with a guaranteed face value. You're copying money. That's a serious crime. So this starts, like I said, around 1998, and in the early 2000s, this movement is gaining more popularity. However, in 2007, it all came crashing down. Federal authorities raided the Norfed compound, the Norfed Mint, and they seized millions of dollars of precious metals and all these notes that he'd been producing and all this other stuff. It was a huge raid. Specifically, the US government said, you are manufacturing counterfeit money. You're putting the word dollars on it. You're putting a face value on it. You're taking our designs from our coins and putting them on yours and proposing an alternate currency, but really you're making counterfeit money. Here is what you're doing, and you're getting victims. You're getting people to believe this, a lot of people. And above all else, you're undermining the US government. Now, I couldn't get a clear readout. The raid happened in 2007. It took a year or two for charges to be brought up, but in 2009, he was indicted. He was indicted on conspiracy against the United States, counterfeiting US currency, and mail fraud, which my dad can tell you about. Now, Norfed's defense was he did not intend to deceive anybody. The charges were bogus. He was simply giving people an alternative. His money, it wasn't just magic monopoly money. It was mostly precious metal, so it was worth something. Ultimately, this was a hill he was ready to die on. Later that year, in 2011, Bernard von Nothaus was found guilty. The court ruled that the Liberty Dollar was intended to resemble the US dollar, and it was a deceptive device, a scam machine. The prosecution also argued that he had created an alternate currency that threatened to undermine the entire US government, and it was a threat to national security, among other things. This got so extreme during his trial, prosecutors tried to get him charged with terrorism. Now, what I think is interesting from looking into this case, it seems to me prosecutors really wanted to be careful, even though they wanted to throw the book at him so nobody would do this. He faced 15 years in prison. In 2014, he was convicted of 6 months of house arrest. The government sought to seize all the Norfed dollars and melt them down. That obviously didn't happen because you can still get them. But today, the Norfed Dollar Case has created an interesting standard bearer for the idea of alternate currencies, especially in the world of Bitcoin and stuff like that. These coins are also very collectible. They go for double spot or more. If you see a real one, not one of these, like the one I have here with a QR code on the back, this is a new one. So his operation still to a degree exists. It's just, you'll notice there's not a face value on this one. But if you see a Norfed dollar at a coin shop, get it, especially if the person doesn't know what they have. These are very collectible. Even these ones are above spot. After his conviction and release and, getting out of this, he's remained defiant. He's not apologetic. He continues to advocate for reforming the US money system and criticizing the Federal Reserve and the IRS. He has also created, in the aftermath of this case, the Liberty Dollar crypto, which you'll notice that this new one has a QR code. I haven't looked too much into that. He's also viewed as a hero to libertarian communities. He has cult-like status. This has really solidified his reputation for life. He went to war with the government, although he lost. In a way, he won, and he just did not back down at all. He did not seem to care what he was facing. The Norfed dollar itself is also viewed as a symbol of resistance. I've been into numerous shops. I see them in there, and they're in frames, and they're not for sale. The people who own the shops are libertarians, and it gives them pride looking at it, right? It gives them something to believe in. Also, in the aftermath, some things did change. There were no new laws that were passed, but Title 18, Section 486 of the U.S. Code, this is one of the items that was used to prosecute Bernard. This was really scrutinized by prosecutors, and they've looked it up and down to see if there's any kind of wiggle room, if there's any way to get out of it. Obviously, he was not successful in his defense, but this code that they prosecuted him under, it made them all, everybody who prosecuted him at the U.S. Attorney's Office, everybody down to the Secret Service, made them really look and think, is there any way that anybody could get away with this? Because this look, I'll give the prosecutors this. I'm not going to rule one way or another. This is a dumb thing to do. Don't ever do this. To me, when I first heard about this case, I was like, this dumb fuck did what? Is he insane? A 5-year-old should know not to do this. They really have scrutinized cryptocurrency as a result of this and other things that could happen. Because if something like this is successful, I do see the prosecutor's case. This really could undermine the US dollar and do a lot of damage to national security, among other things. The case was also a broad prosecution of money laundering, and it has set precedent for money laundering to be easier to prosecute as a result of this being successfully argued in a court of law. Because if you don't know, this is how case law works. Once a case goes through one way or another, that's the law of the land, and you can go and cite that and use that as a pretext for your argument. And if it's a similar case, the judge has to roll with you. The Financial Crimes Enforcement Network regulations also got tighter as a result of this. There is increased public awareness regarding cryptocurrencies and currency regulation. This clarified the use of gold and silver as currencies, and what is interesting is the gold backs that we've talked about and you can buy online. There are mini barter systems that are set up in various states that businesses will take these as an alternate, and I haven't seen anybody getting prosecuted over that yet, but it's very interesting. And this idea of, is a precious metal, if that's not using US dollar, if we have this barter system with precious metal, is that threatening the US dollar? Is this even legal or not, this barter system? And then to finish this, I found a few cases that were similar to the Norfed dollar. There was a company in Idaho in 1985 minting its own coins. They were called Liberty Coins. They were shut down for creating a currency that closely resembled, too closely the US dollar, but they did not get prosecuted. Private minting is not illegal, you guys. You just can't put a face value on it with the words liberty and in God we trust. You can't make your items to look like American coins with a face value. That's just not cool. There was the e-gold case from 2005 to 2008. It's kind of similar to the modern goldbacks that we have. Douglas Jackson and Barry Downey were using alternative currencies. They're trying to get more people on it. These currencies, they're very similar to the goldbacks. It was a huge money laundering scheme. They got charged. There is all of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Ross Ulbricht, the Silk Road. That's a very well, not totally similar, but Ross Ulbricht gave Bitcoin its true value, in my opinion. Read the book American Kingpin if you're interested about this, but Bitcoin's a good example of something similar too. and the Ross Albright case, you can draw a lot of similarities to the Norfed dollar. There was also the 2013 Liberty Reserve case. This was a digital currency. It was shut down in 2013 for laundering billions of dollars. And the bottom line is here, the Secret Service, we have talked about them before. They protect the president and politicians and state guests, etc. They also catch money launderers. It's mainly what they do. Watch the show Good Girls if you've never seen it on Netflix. In no way, shape, or form, your guys' takeaway from this should be, don't ever copy US currency. Don't counterfeit currency. Don't try to make your own. Honestly, don't make your own currency. It's a dumb idea. If you get it right, you'll probably make a lot of money. But the amount of risk that you're taking and the red tape that you're breaking, you're gonna get prosecuted. It is almost unheard of for anybody to get away with this. Bernard was able to get such a light sentence when his crime was so severe. I mean, he must have had good lawyers. I can't imagine what this cost him, like I said. And that's the magic of alternate currencies and the Norfed dollar. Just remember, if you're gonna make an alternate currency, cigarettes and sucking dick, that's the only currency in prison. Don't do it. Alright guys, well that will do it for this episode of Pawn Man. As always, check out my books, visit pawnmanstore.com. It's not too late to buy precious metals, the prices are continuing to rise. If you like this channel, subscribe, hit the thumbs up button, post questions in the comments section below so I can answer them on the next Between the Pawn as well. That video will be coming out next week. Join the Pawn Man Bullion Club if you haven't joined it yet. It's a really cool club. Here on pawnmanstore.com, you're getting monthly installments of silver. It's either unique collectible stuff or you can get the best bang for your buck, but visit pawnmanstore.com to shop for me to get the Bullion Club or my books or all the other great stuff we sell. And with that, I am looking for ideas for the next Halloween episode, so post those in the comment section as well. And we'll see you guys back here for another great video. Thanks for watching.